Let's start with coming off a bye. No, yeah, coming off a bye is the Chargers. So Justin Herbert, we talked about him a couple weeks ago, Tom, that fractured middle finger on his throwing hand. You said you weren't overly concerned, week 4 going into week 5, but does that stay true? Is that the same thing here?
That's absolutely the case. This is his non-throwing hand. He returned to the game with the broken finger and slung the ball around just fine. It's going to be taped or splinted or something to protect it. Uh, the only concern here is defenders are going to be swiping at it, and he might have a harder time not fumbling. But if he can get the ball out on time, it's not going to be a problem at all.
And he plays the Cowboys defense. That's a game I'm really looking forward to. That's a Monday night game. It should be a freaking awesome game. Cowboys D, very good. But hopefully the bye did some good things for Justin Herbert, for this offense, for Eckler, who we'll talk about in a little bit, and hopefully even for guys like Quentin Johnston, who we've been talking about how you should hold on to him. And just to talk about the Chargers offense a little bit here, again, I'm hoping that rapport starts to grow. But in no leagues, guys, am I starting Quentin Johnston yet? Yes, they had the bye, and I'm sure they worked on some things, but it's still a wait-and-see scenario with him. And I do believe Joshua Palmer, of course, you're playing Keenan Allen and Eckler if he's available, but Joshua Palmer, I think, is the guy that you can sneak into your flex, be pretty comfortable getting you, not going to go crazy. 7, 8, 9 points, but Tom doesn't seem too worried about Herbert, which is definitely a good sign here. So another quarterback, Tom, who – big news, left the game early and looks like he's definitely going to miss some time. It's Anthony Richardson, shoulder injury, AC joint. What can you tell us about that one?
Yes, so this is a situation. So Derek Carr also dealing with an AC joint injury. Totally different situation. There are six, not 3. Most injuries, there's 3 grades. There are 6 grades of AC joint injuries. And Richardson, they told us plain and simple, he's dealing with a grade 3 injury. The trouble here is grades 1 and 2 pretty much always respond well to conservative therapy, not surgery. Grades 4 through 6 pretty unanimously need surgery. Grade 3, it's, well, shit. We don't really know. We try therapy, PT, and rehab first. If that doesn't work, then you go to surgery typically. It's just, it varies case to case with these grade 3 injuries. So that's why we're hearing these reports of, like earlier in the week, it's like, well, he's getting a second opinion to see if he needs surgery. And I put out a tweet prior to that saying, oh, like the way he was holding his arm did not look great. Like, let's hope that this isn't one that's going to need surgery. And then I think it was Josina Anderson said that he's getting that second opinion about surgery. And I was like, okay, it's clearly a grade 3 injury then if they don't know if he needs surgery or not. So if we're looking at timetables, he's on the IR 4 weeks, obviously. If it's going to respond to conservative treatments, we'll know by that time. They'll have him throwing probably week 3, 4 on there, but they'll also be like checking for how the healing is going. They'll be looking at how the motion is. They may do some repeat imaging to see what the healing looks like. And if it's going well, then he'll return this year. He'll return definitely at a higher risk for another injury there because it's still going to be prone to injury. And it'll be interesting to see how his throwing looks. Like Derek Carr, obviously a less severe injury. His first game back looked absolutely dreadful, but last week looked a lot better throwing the ball.
Right.
Now, if Richardson does not respond well to conservative care, then he's going to need surgery, which would put him out for the rest of the season, but should not impact him next year.
Well said. A lot to unfold and unwrap there, Tom. The grade I've never heard that before. And again, I always learn things when I listen to you talk, of course. There's 6 grades to it. So grade 3, something that's, I guess, that it totally explains, like you said, why he was going for that second opinion. And he's been a guy that's electric this year when he's on the field. Unfortunately, through 5 weeks now, he has been taken out of 2 games early. So as good as he's been, he's probably been losing people, unfortunately, their fantasy matchups. And Tom, I looked into this a little bit. It looked to me like the Colts ignored his college background and injury history because he had a pretty decorated list of some things there, of course, because he's so strong and physical and likes to run. But do you have any comments on that, Tom? Like how he looks like he's had so many injuries in the past that this is honestly the first time I'm even seeing them.
Yeah, in college, he's had a concussion, a meniscus tear that looks like he needed surgery for, a hamstring injury. So, not nothing in his past. And we know that the risk factors for injury, the number one risk factor is prior injury. The other one is age. Age is on his side. So I can see why the Colts, I don't know that they ignored it. I think they just felt that he is big enough, strong enough, and that their training staff is well equipped to mitigate risk as best as possible. Plus him just being so young.
Right.
Clearly, a mobile quarterback is going to be more prone to taking hits, like the one that he got injured on, as well as the one that he had his concussion earlier this year on. So as he gets more experience in this league, he's going to have to learn how to protect himself. The coaching staff needs to help him with that. And maybe he can reach out to some former mobile quarterbacks for some insight there as well.
Totally. You see these young guys, they want to win. They'll do anything to compete, sometimes throwing their bodies, in the middle of a linebacker or a safety. And yeah, he's competitive. He's looked good. Heck, the Colts are 3-2, but it's time for Minshew Mania there. We will see how that goes.
I love me some Minshew Mania. And wherever my buddy Ben Harris is, he's the biggest Jags fan you'll ever meet in your life. Guy's obsessed with Gardner Minshew, and for good reason. So I'm sure he's excited right now.
Fun to watch him throw. I mean, their weapons, there's a couple weapons there. You got Pittman, you got Josh Downs, who's been coming on strong, who I think he could play as a flex. And Minshew seems to like him, but he's a guy who's going to just sling it. I don't want to put him in the same breath as Jameis Winston because I think that Minshew's better, but he's a guy who's going to get out on the field. He's going to throw it. He's got a good arm. He's willing to take risks. So, I don't think this offense is going to necessarily take too much of a tumble here. And of course, last week, just as we all expected, JT, off the IR or off the PUP list, whatever it was. And here goes Zach Moss, Tom, for 23 for 165 and 2 touchdowns. Listen, he's RB6.
Guess who started him?
You did. I'm glad you started him. I started him too in the Vampire League. Listen, I think you have to just play Moss until further notice, until he puts up nothing. If he's going to get the ball like this, I know they're going to work JT back. It totally makes sense. But listen, I don't think you can look the other way on this. Zach Moss, to me, is a must play. And it's crazy as it is, I think JT is also a must play. Like, you got to take the risks on JT, the guy who's one of the best running backs in football, but Moss has looked good too. So I'd be comfortable playing either of them. And then another thing too, the Jags, just in terms of their passing game, the Colts passing game for this week, Jags have been really bad against the pass. I mean, I don't know if you saw, Tom, after I told Arthur Smith to figure it out, Ritter finally opened it up a little bit, and he walked down the field last week against this Jags secondary. And again, the Jags are 27th in the league in pass yards allowed. So again, I don't know if you're playing Minshew, but if you were looking to play guys like Josh Downs or Pittman or the aforementioned Moss or JT, I think you'd still be in good shape. But best of luck to Anthony Richardson there. Tom would be monitoring that.